Business owners who are fed up with progressive messaging in the marketplace are using their brands to promote traditional American values and create a space for the conservative consumer. The Amazon alternative, PublicSq, acts like an online shopping mall, showcasing merchants who offer everything from coffee to clothing, banking services, and skincare.
Joining us now, owner of Katie's Ice Cream, Tom Costa in Tennessee, and owner of Hope Beauty USA, Hope Harvard. And we also will have Anton Krecic joining us as well. Hope, let me start with you. You based this cosmetic company, you started on biblical values and really the women of the Bible. And how has that set you apart from all the beauty brands out there?
Well, as far as I know, there is no beauty brand out there that also celebrates a woman's inner beauty. And the Bible tells us that a woman is not just beautiful on the inside, the way that God designed her. She's beautiful on the inside, too. It's a gentle and quiet spirit that makes a woman beautiful. And that is the purpose of this company, to give women the confidence that they need to go out and live a life that truly glorifies the Lord, even down to their beauty routine. So every product tells the story of a woman from the Bible.
Tom, you've got the ice cream shop, and I know it's very focused on family and community. Those seem like bread and butter things to me. How do you sell those to consumers who, frankly, are getting tired of all of the preaching that they're hearing in the marketplace constantly? What sets you apart? How do you get that message through?
Well, I think it's kind of a natural thing to just be family friendly for us. And so when businesses bring in, woke ideology and things that are not mainstream or not family friendly initiatives, I think they alienate from the customer base that enjoys a business like ours. So we've been enjoying great success. We have this platform, PublicSq, that's been a great way to connect with people. So we're really enjoying a great summer.
The people at Ben & Jerry's, I'm going to just call them out, they can't seem to shut up. Tom, but when people come in to have some of your, I'm sure, delicious ice cream, like your orange chocolate chip, which is especially famous, I hear, do they bring it up? Is that one of the reasons that they're coming in, or is that a point of discussion for new customers who are coming into the shop?
I was made aware of this platform, PublicSq, and some of the attention that's gone on with other things going on in the media. For the most part, our customers come in and enjoy the ice cream, and it's not a political thing. And I just think when you make it a political thing about families enjoying ice cream, you're kind of missing the point of what the business should be about.
Totally
Well said,
agree
Tom.
with that. Hope, can I ask you a question? I've got two daughters who I love and are getting to that age where they're very interested in beauty and cosmetics products. And I resonate with what you're talking about in terms of changing perceptions on that. I wonder how many inroads have you made with a younger audience who gravitates to these products, but has certainly been shaded or colored by kind of the prevailing message in the world around beauty and cosmetics and those sorts of products?
Yes, well, I feel for our young girls, because this is the first generation that not only has to deal with the comparison agenda out there with everything from, magazines and social media. But this is also the first generation that has to deal with filters. Every time they go on their phone and take a selfie with their friends, they just have to swipe right with their thumb and bam, their face looks instantly different. And I want to teach those young girls that they don't need a filter to be beautiful, and that they don't even need makeup to be beautiful, that they're beautiful by God's design inside and out. And these products are just an accessory that highlight their natural beauty that God already gave them. On top of that, every time our girls go into the makeup stores these days, they are faced with an evil agenda, even in the makeup industry, from brands supporting Planned Parenthood and having your mascara literally pay for an abortion, or the ugly names that are on the shade names of the different products, from everything from lust and sin to even X-rated pornographic makeup names. That's not beautiful. We wouldn't wear that on a t-shirt. So why are we putting that on our face as a resemblance of what is on the inside of our hearts too?
Tom, how much has business picked up lately?
We're having a great year. And normally we see after the 4th, maybe a little drop off. You know, folks are on vacation. And we're up 15-20% over last year.
Wow.
It's really hard to attribute that. We're really having a phenomenal year.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So Anton's with us. That's good. We've done ice cream. We've done cosmetics. Now it's time for coffee. Anton, tell us a little bit about what you're doing with your business and how you're making a message of life resonate through a coffee shop.
Yeah, so we got started a year and a half ago with the simple idea of being able to sell coffee and trying to save lives. So that's what 7 Weeks Coffee is all about. And we're happy to be a part of this parallel economy. We want to be a voice for the unborn. We want to give the millions of pro-life consumers out there an ability to share those values with their purchase. It's like, I mean, Starbucks is synonymous. They support abortion by funding it for their employees. I think people are fed up with that. So with us, there's a lot of different options out there. But with us, you can support life and drink coffee at the same time.
And that's why it's called 7 Weeks. Because that's
yeah, so it's 7 weeks. At 7 weeks, a baby's the size of a coffee bean. That's how we get our name. So,
and that's at the moment of heartbeat as well. And that's why
exactly.
your logo
the same time a
is,
heartbeat's detected.
Yeah, and that's why the
That is so cool. That is
heartbeat.
so cool.
Yeah.
Nice explanation.
And you give pros 10% of revenue to
10% every sale we go to pregnancy care centers. We raised over $150,000 since we got started. So when you drink coffee with 7 Weeks, you directly get to help save lives. So pretty cool mission.
Great to see all of you. Thank you so much. Tom Costa, Hope Harvard, and Anton Krecic. Thank you so much for being here today.
Great stuff.